So if there is anyone, any of our fellow beings that would like to communicate with us today, I would like to invite you to step forward and make yourself on like known and visible in Muna's awareness.
We are not used to speak through human vessels. We are the Seraphim. And we are connecting here today, mainly transmit energy to the eye. We're here to bring peace, peaceful energy, and the feeling of oneness, you might call it. None of the words available really match what we want to share here today. In this time of great changes, we decided to reach out to certain individuals on Earth in a more direct way than we usually would. The times are changing, and the structure, the very structure of Earth, of humanity is changing. So also our role is being changed, and we embrace that change. In the past, we had Serafina as our only ambassador, as our main ambassador, connecting at times with humanity more directly. But now we are open for contact.
Serafina, and you are coming from, let's say, the same group.
Yes, we are known on Earth as the Seraphim. This vessel doesn't know much about us in terms of terminology. You could consider us as as angelic beings. This is probably the most appropriate term. If we don't, without using human terminology, I would just say we are holding certain bandwidths of energy, which at the moment is which has always been here to balance humanity, to help to really balance the construct of this and many other planes. And we want to more directly offer this energy. And for those who long for this energy, for those who bring this energy to the earth plane, to human life, it's an energy that's free from fear. It's pure being, knowing that everything arises organically from within. If there's no restriction, for example, by the mind or by preconceived ideas, and more humans start to get a taste of this and start to see that this is their future. And even though there are enormous turbulences in the world perceived by the majority, there are individuals who are not completely untouched by it, but spend more and more time in a state of oneness. They are like pearls in the rubble of the current changes, beautiful shining spheres. And we want to acknowledge their state and their status. And we are connected to them and they are connected to us. I want to acknowledge their beauty and their contribution in the current situation and the current changes. For they might at times feel like they lose more and more their sense of belonging because they cannot identify so much or less and less with fear and concern. Yet they do know that their state is as perfect as a reflection of oneness, perfection, wholeness, a feeling of completeness. And in case they doubt, it's not from a lack of compassion, because they do have compassion. It's just that they are the first residents of the golden age that comes to Earth. I thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you very much for being with us and bringing this beautiful message.
People more than ever are starting to look for answers. They start to look for a different way to live. They start to search anxiously for a way to escape the fear, the enormous fear that they feel. Fear has become such a pressure for many people. It's very difficult to bear. It's so painful, so physically painful, that they start to look for things that they would usually not reach out to, simply because they hit rock bottom, as you would call it. They start to realize that they themselves need to change. It becomes very clear for them that it's what they are looking for is not to be found on the outside. They know it's to be found on the inside, yet they are not yet trained how to reach for their essence. They are disorientated, you could say.
Even disempowered, right? Not remembering that they have this power.
The memory starts to awaken. It's not yet a memory. It's more like a gut feeling, an intuition, an inner knowing that is starting to sprout. It's not more than that. They just know that they need to change something within, and they don't know how. They don't know the tools. They do not. So they start looking for ways to find inspiration, to find a way. They are starting to look for a way to reach, to make these changes that they now know need to be done. And this is very positive. This is very positive, because this is the very first step in a new development, something they would not have reached without this crisis, the current crisis that is hitting the earth plane. And it is, for this reason that this pressure is being built. Crisis is usually a development trigger for those who had been stagnant. So the pressure is starting to activate people, you could say, which is very good, even though it's very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. And I want to remind the more advanced light workers who currently hold energies who are already holding the energy of the future. To be aware of these newly sprouting fellow human beings who are starting their path. You need to be the guardians and the caretakers for them. You need to be very compassionate, for they are at the very beginning now, and they need a lot of they need love, but also a lot of infinite patience and compassion from those who are almost exiting this level of experience. So if, for example, I give an example that some of you will relate to. Everything seems so slow. Language does not even seem an adequate way of communication anymore. And when speaking to people, some of you experience extreme impatience because it feels like they already know exactly what that person is telling them, 100%. Yet it takes time to communicate everything through the mouth, through language. And I want to remind you and ask you to be very, very, just to be very patient and to try to feel deeply into the person, because you already know what is being communicated. So use the time, instead of waiting for the explanation that you already got to pass in minutes. Use the time to connect deeply with that person on an energetic level. And this way you can make the most of an encounter with someone who might need this connection and can benefit from it. So instead of at times when interacting with the different vibration levels that are present in humanity at the moment, take this opportunity, instead of being irritated or confused even, remember that you are embodying largely already the new earth, and it makes sense that it is confusing and a little bit difficult for you to interact with other vibrational states. But if you make use of this time by deeply connecting, you will help others to shift in your field, or to shift it closer to this field. You will definitely be helping them. And I'm speaking to a large number of what you call light workers or star seeds, activated star seeds. And it is comparable to what many of the beings who work from other dimensions with you are practicing because they had exactly the same issues when interacting with humanity. They felt there's such a big gap to bridge that this is really the technique you could call the technique of the angels, to fully embrace a being and to overlook all the other things. So make this your practice when around challenging, or well, when you're around other human beings, basically. It will also help you to maintain in your more blissful state. Thank you. We're happy that we can pass on this suggestion.
Yeah, I really love your message. And, I just wanted to add that perhaps just even our presence, sometimes it's more beneficial than words could ever be.
Yes, that is so. That is so. And it's like being touched by a ray of sun or a soft breeze.
I got
It's
goosebumps.
yeah, it is touching people. And the more you allow the energy to flow, the easier it will be, the easier it reaches them. And in this state of pure alignment with your essence, the energy transmission is very powerful. So this technique, if you want to call it that I gave you before, will help many to be in this state, to maintain this state, this most beautiful state, even more than they already do. It's like for you, it can even be like a change in your vision, and the world starts to be so much more colorful. It's like there's a rainbow tinge to everything. There's a glow to everything. Even the grayest city has this tinge if you are in this state. And most people cannot see this, but they can definitely feel it. And you will notice this because they change. They change when they are exposed to your energy. They will look at you. They will they will change the way they posture. It's like people change when the window is being opened and a fresh breeze is coming in. This type of, you will observe this more and more. And I hear that there's that many of you who experience these being states are wondering how much or how little they should expose themselves to people, to humanity as a whole, even though now there's not much opportunity to do so. Times will change again. I'm thinking about this question. And what I want to say is that in this being state, you're completely protected. The question comes from a state of fear to be losing the state of elevated emotion. And that means you already lost it. If this thought is crossing your mind, you're already not in the highest state anymore. And that is totally fine. This is the process that you all signed up for, to gradually shift into the most elevated being states. But to at times also leave them again until the transformation is fully performed. It's just normal. So everyone who don't be hard on yourself if you perceive that you feel maybe fear, anger, these type of states. Just be compassionate with yourself. You're still very human and still anchored in this mixture of vibrations. I just had an image that might help. It's like a bird that has hatched and has wings. It knows it has wings and it can flap them a little bit and fly little stretches, but it's not yet fully grown. It cannot yet fly as effortlessly as the parents. It's like this. So at times you just don't use your wings yet. You need to rest and they need to continue growing, and you will continue to grow to then one day be fully in this being state and be a master flyer. You need to honor your emotions, and sooner or later everyone will. It's part of the condition of humanity that emotions are being suppressed, not just in the spiritual world everywhere, but also in the spiritual world. They might think that they don't. they might at times add an extra layer of confusion to it, but we are all going through the same processes in this respect as humans. Yeah. So honoring what is how you feel, honoring your state of being, and also the spectrum, because it is a wide spectrum at the moment.
Oh, thank you. You know, I'm sorry. You just gave me the answer I was looking for. That's so beautiful. And this morning I woke up with this thought. I sensed, I scanned my body and I sensed a small amount of fear. I mean, of course, we are, as a collective now, the fear has risen so much, right? So I sensed that I have picked up some of that and it was in my field, and I was saying to myself, how am I going to get rid of that fear? And by you speaking, I guess I got the answer, which is, instead of trying to get rid of it, maybe I should just open my arms and really embrace it and hold it and acknowledge it and just be with it and love it.
That is it. Allow it to be there, and then it may go when it's ready to go. Give it, yeah, this is exactly it.
That's so amazing. Thank you so much. I'm getting major goosebumps because I was judging myself for having fear. You know, I was, it's just what we were just saying before. I was thinking to myself, oh, I'm a light worker. I'm a star seed. I'm awakened. I'm enlightened. Blah blah whatever. But I do have fear. I shouldn't. Kind of feeling ashamed for having fear inside me. Now I understand. It's thank you.
You're very welcome, and I'm so happy that you mentioned this, also your example, because I would say the majority of even the most advanced, of the very advanced light workers, starseed awakening people, is catching themselves in with this, and that's also part of the process. It's completely understandable. It's also like the little bird who just, it wants to fly like the parents. It's like, man, but I'm big already. I'm an adult already. Like children at times are like, I can do this myself. I shouldn't be needing to do these children things anymore. Or like in that example, I'm beyond fear. You definitely all want to be beyond fear, but you're not yet fully there. Many times you are, and honor that too. You all have come so far. You can reach so high. So beautiful. It's really so beautiful. And yet you can also feel the lowest of vibrations. And this is so much needed. The spectrum is what is helping to vibrate, to what's the wording? The ability to be shifting is helping to to loosen up the denser energies, helping to release them. That's what that's one of the many things that people who are able to reach the very high frequencies are doing. And yes, they pick up sometimes on fear that's floating around. Sometimes it's actively placed in your energy field, for it's known that it will be transmuted in your field. At times it's placed there by your team, by the multidimensional team. I'm not saying you specifically, but certain light workers are designed in such a way that they, whatever denser energy is placed into their vicinity is being transmuted. So it's simply part of their task. So let's say there's a very troubled individual in the neighborhood or wherever an energetic connection can be made. Then the team is building an energetic connection and is, you could say, shifting parts of the reasons of this fear or the accumulated denser energy in the energy field of that person that's being helped, is shifting this to one of our light beacons, of our transformation towers on Earth, which are people, and the person is transmuting it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We have in our group one more someone. I will speak with the same voice, but it's a different idea. It's coming from a different perspective, you could say. And that is a request for a suggestion for to offer something practical to humanity, something that helps people to become more masters of their of their vehicle, of their creative powers. And this starts and ends by being able to identify your being state, by allowing it, but also by intentionally shifting it in case you choose to. So we would be very happy to transmit some simple exercises and modules to be shared with your fellow human beings. For those who really want to achieve self-mastery, that's really what it is. And you both, you and Muna, you have the toolkit ready, and we would just like to give some inspirations of how to tie certain techniques together to really be extremely beneficial and helpful for those who do want to make the extra effort at the moment, for those who are looking for a type of practice currently that they can apply to improve their self-awareness and in this way their state of being.
That's a great idea, yes. We would love to receive them. Would you like to do this in this transmission today or in a later one?
We will not have enough time today to receive everything. I just want to share a first idea before we end this transmission for today. And this is for everyone to start to observe what it is that brings them into the highest being states. The people that I'm talking to, you and others who have the ability to reach for the highest vibrational states, for you to identify for yourself if there's something that aids you in entering this state. Is it a certain occupation? What is it that brings you into your state of alignment? This will be important for all steps that follow. Everyone should know this for themselves.
Amazing. And I'm really looking forward for our next transmission.
So do we, very much so.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us. It's such an honor. Thank you.
It's our pleasure, our great pleasure.